Streaming of Sports podcast. Christian,
Nathaniel.
podcasters. That's us. Today, USI volleyball coach Randi Raff is joining us. Of course, USI volleyball off to a pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, went 2-1. They had a tough start to Lewis. Took them to 5 sets and then swept Illinois Springfield and Indianapolis back-to-back. A strong performance from the Screaming Eagles in all 3 games.
So we're going to talk about that, some individual performances, and of course the future of USI volleyball. So make sure you listen in. And welcoming in USI volleyball coach Randi Raff. Coach, it's been an interesting start to the season for you guys. You're sit at 2-1, lost that first game to a nationally ranked Lewis team, but it seems like you guys have improved a lot since then. Just kind of talk about the improvements you guys have made and some things you've picked up on.
Yeah, I think we, each day we go into practice, we try and just get a little bit better. We don't try and move mountains each day. We just try and get, just a little bit better each time out. And so yeah, I think there were some improvements. I think Lewis exploited some things defensively that we just didn't adjust to quick enough. And I think it's actually it's funny because the next day Illinois Springfield did some of those same things to us. And I think we were a little quicker to adjust to it. Our players were a little more keyed into those things and executed a little bit better. So yeah, it's always a good thing to see improvements. I think having that first competition against such a strong opponent, I think it was a really great thing. I think because it got us off on the right foot to be able to come into practice with the mindset that we have to continue to keep getting better.
And as the season keeps going on, you have a matchup against McKendree at McKendree, depending on the ice and the conditions on the road. How are you preparing for a matchup with McKendree?
So preparation this year looks a little bit different. Our squad size is a 12 right now. And so we have to really manage the number of reps. It's a unique challenge for me as a head coach, because I obviously I've only had one other team, and that team was very different. So the way we prepare is we just get in some good quality reps. We talk a lot about making sure that the reps that we do get are quality. We may not get the quantity that we have gotten into the preseason leading into right now, and also in seasons past, but we look to get really quality reps out of the time we spend in the gym, and then just kind of taking care of our bodies and making sure we're getting good food in, making sure we're getting treatment, getting ice, all those sorts of things come into play. More so with this team than I thought it would, as early as it is coming into play. And so we just try and get in and practice our stuff. We do a little, we'll give them a little taste of what they might see offensively from the opponent 1 or 2 times a week. This year, being that we only play on Saturdays mostly, we'll be able to, sprinkle a little bit of that in a couple times per week, especially this week. We have only one opponent. So we do that, and we let them try and defend some of the things that we will see against McKendree, and then we just kind of, everything else is just, we've been working really hard at creating good habits throughout the week, so that on the weekend we can kind of reap the benefits of all the good habits that we've had throughout the week.
And I want to highlight a couple of individual players. I want to start with someone who maybe is kind of surprising some people this year, as much action she's seen. Callie Guber has played a lot of time for you guys this year and really didn't see much action last season. Just kind of talk about her improvement, what you're using, or how you're using her at the libero spot. Callie's
done an excellent job. She made it just, we couldn't not have her on the court. She's been a consistent presence throughout the entire fall in our training that we were able to do, and then into this preseason. And so she just made a case for herself that we couldn't not look at. We couldn't avoid looking at her at libero. And I think one of the coolest parts about Callie's journey is that she hasn't been a consistent contributor for her whole time here at USI. And so to see a player like Callie just really buy into, the things that we are teaching. We do a lot of growth off the court. We call it mental reps. And, all that encompasses basically anything they do that doesn't involve like physically doing their sports. So we do some visualization. We do a lot of leadership training. We watch, I encourage them to watch video, pick themselves apart, that sort of thing. So Callie really has taken to all of those things and really bought into it. And it's really translated into her performance on the court. On top of that, Callie's one of the most disciplined young people that I've been around. And she basically has disciplined herself into becoming the player that she is. And she's a very good system player. And so, as we have evolved our defensive systems, she again has really bought into that, and the discipline that she has on the court and positioning herself within that system is what keeps us coming back to her. And so I couldn't be more excited to see Callie. We go into things with a very open mind. I'm a big proponent of having a lot of competition in each position. And so it was cool to see someone who hasn't, been a regular contributor step in and really grow into the role. And so we're excited for Callie, and she's doing an excellent job, and she's just a very steady presence back there with a lot of discipline to our system.
You mentioned the competition, and of course a lot of competition at the libero spot. We saw a lot of Audrey Crowder there last year, and we haven't seen her as much this year. Just kind of talk about Audrey's role on the team at this point.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that that we're going to need all 12 players throughout the course of this spring season, and Audrey is no different there. She knows that when I need her, that she's ready to go. So yeah, I think all 12 players are going to be needed this spring, and with people getting quarantined and all that stuff, you just never know what can happen. And the crazy part is that Audrey is really right there. I think you don't see Audrey out there because we have essentially 4 or 5 pin hitters that can play 6 rotations, and they can so they can attack out of the back row, they can pass, and they can play defense. Obviously Audrey doesn't have the attacking piece, right? So it makes it really difficult for a DS, which is Audrey and Callie's position, DS libero type, for them to really compete for a spot as a 3 rotation DS, not in the libero jersey. It's a really tough battle when we have so many pin hitters who can play all the way around, and they add the element of a back row attack. So it's a real dogfight, and although Audrey isn't finding as much time on the court, she's truly right there with Callie. The difficult part is though that we just have so many good ball control pin hitters that offer us back row attack, which of course you guys have watched us play enough, so it adds just a different layer to the offense, and it makes us just incredibly difficult to defend. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
And a player that we absolutely have to highlight is Casey Sapicki, the senior leader. She's gotten a lot of playing time this season and moving up in the all-time category in assists. What do you have to say about her season this far?
Casey's, I'll tell you, you guys haven't even really seen Casey play her best match yet. And she is already doing an excellent job. My assistant coach here that you can see over my shoulder, he trains our setters, and he does an excellent job. And we just continue to add layers to her game, and she has just taken it, and she's just grasped onto it and just really run with it. And so we do a lot of, Brian does an excellent job with like breaking down the setter position and helping them with training their vision and decision making. And so that's why you see a lot of times we'll have one blocker up only on our hitters, because our setter's doing such a good job, which is something that people, if you don't learn the game and watch the game very much, you kind of don't really realize. But Casey's getting those one-on-one situations. So one-on-one meaning like she'll isolate our one hitter with one of their blockers, because she's making such good decisions with being able to see what's going on the other side of the net. But like I said, I don't think we've really seen Casey at her best yet. I think she's just settling into all these new layers to her game in competition mode. We've only had 3 matches. And so as things start to speed up a little bit, and we'll get into not this weekend, but the weekend after, into the 2 matches per weekend, I think we're going to see even more from her. But again, she's someone just like Callie who has really taken to the invisible practice and the mental reps. I talk about this a lot with our team. The invisible practice is, it's like an iceberg in the ocean, right? So there's the stuff you guys get to see, which is above the surface. Then below the surface is all the work they put in, nutrition, lifting weights, leadership training, visualization, all those things. And Casey has bought into all that stuff as well. And so between that and the setter training that we're giving her, we feel like we've just really helped her become the player that she really wants to be and has always kind of known she could be.
You mentioned that you only have 12 players on your roster, and it seems like a lot of the teams we've seen in the GLVC so far have significantly more players than you guys do. Just kind of want to see what challenges that presents you as far as only having 12 players out there that can play.
So I look at it a little differently. If I have the players I want, I only need 12. I think that's one piece. And the other piece is that, just with my coaching style, I like to be able to really understand my players as individuals at a really high level. I have found, and this is, I'm at the beginning of my head coaching journey here, but what I've found is that if you know your players really well in those moments when changes need to be made or you need to adjust or do something in a match, like you just have such a better beat on things if you are really tuned into your players and on sometimes it's what's going on in their life day to day, but really it's understanding them over months and getting to know them and really spending the time. And that becomes really hard if you have a roster of like 20, 25 people. So I like the players we have. I think it lends itself to having excellent chemistry. Everybody pulls in together really tight. And I think we kind of have that going on right now. And so I do the same thing. I look down at the other side and I think, holy cow, they got an army. But, I really like our 12. So I think we've got a crew that I think we can do some stuff with. And I think it lends itself to how I like to lead the team.
And you mentioned chemistry, and there are different ways that coaches try to implement chemistry within the team. How are you implementing chemistry with your 12?
Gosh, that's a deep question, man. That's, there's a lot of stuff we do. I think one of the things I think really helps is that, we encourage our players to lead within every player from 1 to 12, lead within the framework of your personality and who you are. So there's this element of authenticity that kind of runs throughout our program, I think. And, so it becomes about authentic leadership and each person feeling a lot of ownership for what's going on. And, being me as an individual, one of the individuals in this group is one of my duties is just really being tuned into where there might be lack or where there might be a need, and just really kind of just keeping a beat on everybody that I'm around, right? Whether that's my players, my coaching staff, like our administrative role people that are around us, like just keeping a beat on all these people and really being tuned into what the group needs to push forward and kind of seeing one step ahead, planting seeds in the back of like a captain's mind of, hey, maybe keep an eye on this, or you don't have to say anything just yet, but just know. So it's a lot of meeting. I actually just today we've had 3 player meetings so far today, had a captain's meeting, and I met with 2 other players, and I've got 2 more coming in this afternoon. So this is just like individual meetings talking about where their game is at, challenging them with different stuff, with the time to sit and discuss it that we don't always get in the practice gym. So just taking that time with them and, making sure they understand my vision for them as a player, and then, slip in compliments here and there. Like these players go out and you guys see them and they seem so confident and sure of themselves, but the below the surface like stuff is that they're even the best players, across the world have doubts and need encouragement. And so it's a lot of that, but it's very relational. And I think it's also ongoing. It's something that we've never arrived at. It's something that we always just continue to work towards.
You've got a lot of really good production out of your freshmen, Abby Weber, Abby Bedner, and even Taya Daisy. Just kind of talk about their transition into the program and how that's gone for you guys so far. Of course, some good play from all of them.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's been – they're a very solid group. And I was meeting with one of them today, and we were kind of talking about how different they all are. They all play the same position. But they're all very different outside hitter types. And so, and because of our, the culture that we have and the chemistry that we have and the kind of authenticity and realness that we have with our players, like I feel I can start any one of them based on whatever matchup we kind of need. Because they're all really bought in. This is, again, something that's really hard to do if you have a squad of like 20 and you may have some that aren't fully bought in, but with a smaller squad, you get everyone bought in. And I really feel like on any given day, if I felt like I needed a matchup, with, AB, then the AB is a Bednar. So, she's a little bit bigger, stature kid. And so if we felt we needed that matchup, I feel like we could start her and it could be seamless. And so, their transition, all three of them have transitioned really well. I think it's crazy. I don't know. I mean, the talent that those three have, like coming in, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if everyone realizes but they're incredibly talented, and we will see that as the years go on, in that position that these three are going to continue to grow. And then just ahead of them, of course, you still got Leah. So that position is a really tough position, and they all three are so solid with their passing and their defense that they can play that back row, which offers us so many layers to our offense. And yeah, I mean, I think that class has been really fun, and I'm excited because they are just starting to kind of adjust to college life and college volleyball. And so I think we're going to start to really see them take off.
And you kind of touched up on it. Leah Anderson has been a dynamic part to this program. She is one of the top three in a few categories in the conference, and she's just been all around a great player. But you like to mention that this is just the tip of the iceberg for her. Really, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think what I mean, I guess, by that is that I think she has some physicality that you don't typically see at our level. And she's growing her game in ways that sophomores don't typically get to. I think she's had a couple benefits. One benefit is that she graduated high school early. And so she had a spring of college training before her fall freshman season, which would have been fall of 2019. So she had that benefit. And then, we had, of course, the COVID thing. And so she gains a year of eligibility. So I just think that when you look at the overall kind of picture of her game and her progression, I just think she's just going to continue to grow. And I know that she wants to. She has her sights set pretty high on goals for herself. And so I think we're starting to see areas of growth in her. Like, I personally am seeing some things out of her sooner than I really thought I would. And she's growing in maturity and on the court and as a teammate, and her ability to kind of be more of a leader and be more comfortable being leaned on in tough moments. So yeah, I think all those things, I take a pretty holistic, approach to kind of how we look at our athletes, because they walk onto the court a whole person. They don't just get to leave the everybody else, but the volleyball player doesn't get left behind when they go on the court. They're a whole person. So yeah, I think it's we're just getting started with her. And I think, the numbers she put up against Indy, I think she should be consistently putting up numbers like that.
So prior to that Indy game, Nate and I had the opportunity to sit down in your scouting meeting, And something that you had in that scouting report that really stuck with me was the, quote, be a goldfish. We mentioned it on the GLVC broadcast, but we just kind of wanted to have you reiterate what that means for those who might not have heard it and what you meant by be a goldfish.
So there's a show called Ted Lasso, and it's on Apple. Brian's laughing at me, by the way, because I've been telling him he needs to watch it. But it's on, I think it's on Apple TV Plus. But it's just a series, you know, and I watched it and it just made me like, cause it's about, he comes into, a Premier League soccer program, doesn't know a thing about soccer, takes over the program and just basically changes the culture. And it just reminded me so much of like our first year. And, you know, so it really resonated with me. And also, you know, they had like the way Ted is, he's the head coach. And then the way Brian is, like his assistant's just like Brian. And I feel like maybe I'm a little bit like Ted Lasso, like gazing off into the sunset and finding some kind of, I don't know, connection to volleyball there. But so anyway, I that show really resonated with me. And he says to one of his players, like, you know, do you know what the happiest animal on earth is? The guy's like, no. And he says, well, you know, it's a goldfish, and it's because he has a 10-second memory. And so, you know, that's something I think, especially, you know, we talk a lot about the outside hitter position, and that's one of the biggest things I think as an outside hitter, the resilience, you know, and it's something we've talked about ever since COVID hit, is just being resilient. And so, yeah, so that's the goldfish reference.
I love that reference.
I do too.
I love it. But something that last year that was a struggle was battling on the road. It seemed like your team really struggled on the road, but then could compete really well at home. First road match is against McKendree on Saturday. How are you going to change those numbers from last year?
We're going to keep doing our stuff, you know, like we're growing very confident in what we do. And I think, you know, it was nice to start off at home to prove that confidence. I think we had the confidence. We kind of felt it brewing in practice before we started matches. Proving it to ourselves on game days at home was another step in confidence. And now that we've kind of done that, we feel like, you know, now we'll go on the road and we'll just continue to do our stuff. It's, you know, like I joke around with one of my coaching mentors, we would be like, it's not rocket science, but then we're like, but wait, it kind of is rocket, like, cause there's an art to it too. But that in particular, I think there's no crazy equation to it. We're going to go and we'll, you know, serve well, we'll pass well, and we'll go run our offense and do our stuff.
All right, I think that's all we have. We really want to let you know we appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us as always, and we look forward to your game on Saturday at McKendree.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, take care. We'll see you guys.
See ya. That was the Screaming Eagles Sports Podcast with USI Volleyball Coach Randi Raff. Always a great time.
Always.
Of course, a lot of good information in there. USI Volleyball back in action on Saturday at McKendree, 11 a.m. is first serve. I believe that's the correct term.
Yes, and you can catch all of that on the GLVC Sports Network.
Of course, going over to yousiEagles.com for a quick link over to that. And as always, make sure to follow us on our socials. On Facebook, just type in 95.7 The Spin Sports. On Twitter, at The Spin Sports. And, of course, listen to us on the radio at 95.7 The Spin on your little radio dial.
That's all I have.
All right. For Nate, I'm Christian, signing off. Once again, you've been listening to the Screaming Eagles Sports Podcast.